Hello all, and welcome to Friday afternoon's beer review. So after that horrific thing that I reviewed last, go and look at that video. Probably the closest I came to a spit take while reviewing. I decided I want to review something that isn't going to be offensive to me. And so we have something from Deschutes. It's an IPA. IPAs are not my favorite style, but Deschutes does them really well. Um, because one thing about them is that they don't overamp the ABV on their beers. So this is 6.0. So they're really letting the hop shine rather than trying to push the alcohol up, which, makes the malts more apparent. So this one really becomes a show for the hops. And also, in this case, the experimental yeast. So let's go and read the label, shall we? Savor the unexpected with an experimental IPA that is truly out of this world. Crack one open to unleash bright notes of grapefruit and guava. So this is Cosmic Creatures IPA. Don't know much about the yeast. Yeast is probably the least I know about, the various elements that go into beers. Well, except for maybe water. I don't know water chemistry that well. But this one uses a different kind of yeast. This one was packaged on 3/14/23, so very fresh still, which is how you want your IPAs. And yeah, I let this one warm up for about 10 minutes, let it express itself a little bit better. And let's just get to this. Okay, maybe a little bit of a overly aggressive pour, but such is life. So, about 2.5 fingers of fluffy white head. Straw yellow coloration. Mostly clear. There's a slight haze to it. Can't really see because the light's in my angle, not your angle. Very well carbonated, as it were. Some very nice tropical fruit notes. Papaya, guava. Also has the citrus notes of grapefruit and a touch of ozone as well. I think I'm the only person who describes IPAs and hoppy beers as having ozone as a um, bouquet quality, but I call it as I smell it. Yeah. Let's go onto the palate now. Mm. Just the perfect level of bitterness. You know, very hop forward. There's bitterness while not being tongue scorchingly so, where it gets that kind of tannic note I don't like. Crackery to bready malts that more or less add body. Um, you can't really perceive the sweetness of it, but there's some there, probably to go and balance out the hop acid, alpha acid levels. About the right feel for a 6.0 ABV beer. Not too light, but not too chewy either. Fairly even bitterness throughout into the long finish. Again, well balanced. Also, some pine resin like notes on the palate, but not so much in the nose. The tropical notes sort of predominate in the bouquet, but not so much in the top notes. Top notes, definitely have a bit more of that ozone, a bit more citrus. And also some malt present in the top note as well. So this is actually pretty interesting. So it is more or less a very well balanced IPA. It kind of has a tropical nose, but it's not losing that grapefruit element either. And it's also fairly bitter on the palate. Please excuse the barking noises. So it comes across as pretty West Coast style on the palate. It doesn't come across as hazy or overly tropical. And the taste notes are pretty clear and distinct. It's none of that muddiness that I find in lesser quality IPAs. So I can say that if West Coast style IPAs are your jam, well, this one might not be the bitter bomb, that puckering bitter bomb that you might like. It does have some very nice aromatics, but most of all, importantly to me, it is well balanced. That hop to malt balance, presence is well balanced. And has a balanced mouthfeel as well. So it's nice to go and have something that's a bit more evocative of traditional IPAs while still having a different twist to it. And you can have a couple, two or three of these without getting too ass blasted because it's only 6.0. I should watch my language a little bit more. But yeah, Cosmic Creatures IPA, basically almost like a say in between a West Coast and East Coast, well, West Coast and tropical IPA. You know, tropical in the nose, really, but really more of that West Coast on the palate. And that, folks, is your beer review for this afternoon. Cheers.